Slimehouse TV, myself Theo Kane here with Andrew Divoff at HorrorConUK. It's been an awesome weekend. We're just about to wrap up. How have you found the last 2 days?
Brilliant, beautiful. First of all, coming here, I got to ride along the beautiful English countryside. Come from St. Pancras Station out here, and just absolutely beautiful. The green, the rolling. Back in California, we call them chaparrals, but just to see all that beautiful, the oaks and the green going off into these forests, and then to come upon. I was commenting on the Chesterfield on the Abbey, I guess it is, with the cricket spire. What a lovely sight. Now I was looking around the train to see if anybody else had noticed, and so it's old hat to them. They'd seen it before, but it was beautiful. It was just a wonderful ride out, and then being in the town, and the convention and the people in attendance, the attendees, so versed in all of the genres really, and so I've done both action and horror, sci-fi, and so they knew my resume, and that's always a thing that amazes me, especially when the youngins come up and they'll say, I liked you in Toy Soldiers, and it just kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I completely forgot you was in that, but that's a wicked movie.
Yeah. Thank you, brother.
And out of all of the roles that you've done, the different types of genres of movies, we're here for HorrorCon UK, so it definitely seems like Wishmaster is the movie that people have come to today wanting the stuff signed and that kind of thing. What is it about that film that you think resonates with people?
I think we all have our wishes. We all know to be careful with wishes. I think the fact that this genie, this trickster, takes wishes that are seemingly innocent and twists them, turns them against you. I think that's sort of that roller coaster ride of coming close to the edge but not going quite over, and to see somebody else suffer through their wishes. I think we all have that in us. We all want to win the lottery. We all have a wish we'd like to come true, but you have to be careful, who you ask to fulfill that wish. Careful what you wish for, right?
Of course, and that to me, like when that came out in the 90s, it was the kind of film that we would have sleepovers and we were all sat watching and loving the KNB effects and all that kind of thing. And it definitely seemed like one of the first films I'd seen, at least at that time, that felt like a real ensemble cast. It had a lot of really well-known horror icons in it. What was people's reactions to that at the time, seeing all these famous people all in one film together?
I think, as I've said before, I think first of all, I was lucky to have these big brother monsters take me in and give me good advice, have keen insight on it, and I think for the fans coming, they had no idea who this new monster was. They had no idea, but they had maybe made the connection that, that's the guy from Toy Soldiers, and he did another 48 Hours. But seriously, I waited probably 15 years down the road of my career, to have people come up and say, wait a minute, and make the connection. But to have those monsters in there, I think it was a sort of a wink to the fans. I think the fans appreciated the fact that these guys stepped away from their big roles, from their major monster roles in their own right, and came to participate in Wishmaster. Yeah.
And then you mentioned another 48 Hours. So what was it like working with Walter Hill? I'm a big fan of his movies and The Warriors and stuff. Like, what was that? Just tell us a little bit about working with Walter Hill on that movie. And that's a great movie. They're a great double bill. A lot of people, when they tell me about 48 Hours, I'm like, you've got to see another 48 Hours because they play back to back so well.
They do. Walter was absolutely wonderful. So John Fasano wrote the script, but Walter was instrumental in making certain changes. And Walter was never yelled, never screamed, had everything mapped out. So when he showed up on the set, everyone knew what was supposed to happen. And as I say, he would never scream. There were a couple of times when either a cast member or a crew member would get out of line, maybe because of stress or because long days. We were out in the desert, and those hot long days out there, you can get sunstroke, and say something wrong, and the next day they might not be there. That was very, very quiet, but very powerful. And his stories, I mean, it is Americana. I love Walter Hill. I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves, but But I mean, as you mentioned, Warriors. I mean, what a great film. One of his earlier films. It was wonderful working with him. I got to meet James Remar, so that was also wonderful. We actually got to ride together, so that was kind of cool. They gave me that Harley for 6 months before the film said, "Go learn how to use it." So that was
And you did use it
I did
in that movie as well.
as well,
Yeah.
indeed.
I mean, some of that's like you're still a working actor today. You've been in this acting game for such a long time now, and you've seen all the different types of making movies, all the way from when we're using film cameras and we've got lights with cables all over the floor, to now where it's all digital and we've got LED lights like these we can just pop on and watch takes back. How have you found it? Like the difference between the old school way of making movies and the new school? Which would you prefer?
So the new school. I mean, the fact that it's convenient, if you will, that for instance, dailies. There was a thing called dailies where you'd have to go into a studio, you'd have to transport the film from wherever the location was to the nearest studio so that you could roll it and watch it, and make sure that everything you intended to get on film was there. That the boom mic wasn't in frame. That the color and the match and everything was correct. Whereas now you can send all of that over a computer and fix it on the computer, edit it, and have it done within hours, and get ready for the next day. That to me is probably the most amazing thing. We could be out in Romania filming and sending via the computer, via the laptop, send the dailies. We used to call them dailies. Send them to your headquarters, to your hub, have them edited and ready to go the next day. That kind of trips me out. The fact that in 20 years, it just that change is to me really major. Yeah.
Makes you wonder what it'll be like in another 20 years. Little camera implanted in our eyes. Don't we need a cameraman anymore?
Yeah.
As someone that's worked with so many different directors on so many different versatile projects, what's something that's always like consistently made a good director to you?
I think first of all, the actor understanding his role, and the fact that the director as well. Now, mind you, the director has to understand each and every character, each and every personage within the story, to make sure that it all sort of ties together. Uh, and again, the Walter Hill's movies are famous for having 20 characters that are all very germane to the story, and how you keep track of those, I think is to me, it's always. I mean, it would confuse the hell out of me to have to do that. So I tip my hat to Walter and Daniel Petrie. Can you imagine basically taking care of really what was at that time kids? And so he was not only had to be director and aware of the story and the script, but make sure that off set, that everybody's lives continued, that nobody got into too much trouble. Uh, I won't go into that. but yeah.
And to people that's wanting to get into acting now, from somebody like yourself who's a seasoned actor and worked on big budget, low budget TV, film, all this stuff, games and all sorts of things, what would your advice be to somebody that's wanting to break into acting now? What's the best attitude to have?
I think first of all, you believe in yourself. You can't get dissuaded by. So an actor goes out, and even your best actors, until they get to a certain point, will go out 10 times and hear 9 no's. And so you can't let that. You have to accept that and know that it's going to happen. But the most important thing is to be prepared. And now, as we were saying, with all of the new technology, the new toys, you can literally film your own scene, or film your monologue. Pick one that you like. Make sure that you pick the casting that's right for you. I mean, don't go outside of that. Casting, of course, has a lot to do with look, and I must say, in my case, because of the ruddy complexion and so forth, I tended to get more of the villain roles. But I relished those. I enjoyed them. I didn't hate the fact that's. Some people ask me, well, is that all that you can do? And I said, no. I mean, I never I never consider that a sort of an obstacle. I take that, every character is his own person, and in their own minds, I don't believe there's any bad guy who thinks he's bad. So it's but it nevertheless, you have to make sure that in the story, that there's the protagonist and the antagonist, and I understand that to drive the story forward, the antagonist has to be believable, and so I always made sure that I showed up with 110%.
And you was always super believable.
Thank you. You have to believe in yourself as well, though. That's important as an actor. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you.
Slimehouse TV, Theo Kane with Andrew Divoff at HorrorCon UK, and now we're done. Boom.
Thank you, brother.
Wicked. Thank you so much.